All right. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to today's broadcast of Cal Cairo Live. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope everybody can hear me okay. See a little bit of choppiness. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to get on the broadcast here today and get our guests lined up and ready to go. As you know, we gave away some money last week to Dr. Grace Lau. That was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. So this week we'll be giving away $300 or trying to give away $300. I wanted to make a few announcements as we inch closer to our Cal Cairo Fall Conference. That's coming up August 28th. I believe the room block is still open, so that's something that you guys can check on with the home office as well. But August 28th through 30th, the fall conference is coming up soon. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. If you're a student and you're looking for some scholarships or some support with getting there travel wise and things of that nature, even new graduates, I've got our new practitioner board member, Dr. Howie Chang, on top of helping students. So let me know and I can connect you with Howie. A lot of times Howie's on this broadcast. Maybe he can put his contact information on for us as well. But always willing to help students. We're looking forward to another great speed networking event on the event. In addition to that, got lots of docs that are looking for associates, all of those kind of things. So make sure you're either connecting with me or Dr. Howie about fall conference if you're a student or a new practitioner that wants to join us, because we certainly want to do everything we can to support you guys in that endeavor. So looking forward to that event. Anything else that is coming up, make sure you're checking your weekly adjustment newsletter. You've got to make sure that you check either your spam folder or your promotion folder for the weekly adjustment. That way it's getting into your main inbox. That'll keep you apprised of everything that's going on in the Cal Cairo universe. In addition to that, hopefully you're getting our text messages with the live broadcast information. If you're not, make sure you reach out to Shasta or Tiffany. They'll get your cell phone number written down so that you're getting the text messages when we go live. And as always, like and subscribe for the broadcast. We really appreciate it. That helps us in terms of the algorithm, and set your notifications to alert you when we go live. So I do want to bring on our guest, though, today because he is with us now. And I'm super excited to, here he is. There he is, Dr. Brad Glowaki. Can you hear me, Brad? Okay.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk with you. I don't think I've had the chance to meet you too much in person. Obviously, know of all of the things that you've done in the chiropractic world and for the chiropractic profession. We're super stoked to have you as one of our main speakers this year at the fall conference. So thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the state convention in August.
Cool. Well, I know Dr. Ron Benson has been he's just been hammering me about getting you on the broadcast and your travel schedule and all that. So he's got a bunch of notes here for me. We got a text thread going. This guy cracks me up, but I'm sure he cracks you up too with his tenacity and all of that kind of thing. So
The word hammering is it's a good description for Ron. He's been hammering me
yeah,
too.
that's how I do it though, man. That's how I respond to that kind of tough love. So we're
Absolutely.
similar in that way. But I wanted to dive into just a few things. Or is there anything that you want to share with anybody about what you have coming up, or anything else besides the fall conference?
No, I just want to support you guys in the mission and what you're doing. I think California has a real opportunity to be a force for natural healthcare, and there's a lot of conversations going on in social media and opportunities. I think with some of what's happening with the Maha movement, and just simple
Yeah,
things like red dye number 3 coming out, and the fact that this week they're talking about medical doctors need to have a nutrition class in medical school because they don't currently. It speaks to this opportunity. I think that there's people looking for natural health, and chiropractors are perfectly positioned, however you choose to practice, in many different arenas with new information, new concepts, and changes. And these changes need an authority, what we would call a cultural authority. And so it's a really cool time with 10,000 plus chiropractors in the state of California to potentially gain some ground and authority in natural healthcare. And again, however you choose to practice or whatever you choose to do with that, it's just a really unique time and not something we've seen in my 27 years of experience, I've never seen an opportunity like this. So I'm excited to not only be here with you, but also be speaking in August for the state convention, because we are the largest state with chiropractors, and I'm going to kind of give a push for the CCA and say, if you're not yet a member, do it. I think that's super important. We could be a real force to be reckoned with in California if everybody became a part of the association, and I think that's a big opportunity on many different fronts.
Well, I appreciate that. I've been doing everything I can to support chiropractors and create content and create events, bring people like you to the forefront, because I think a lot of the things that you talk about are so valuable, and just what you represent in the chiropractic profession. But how do you think what can we do as individual practitioners to support things like the Maha movement? Do you have any resources for us, or ideas, or thoughts and directions?
I mean, really, just what's kind of cool about this is there's momentum on social media organically. The things
Sure.
that they're posting and things putting out, and this isn't a political push at all, but it's one of those. He ran as an independent, and I kind of
Yep.
like that too. It was like, hey, these are some outside the box ideas, and in healthcare, that's definitely what we need. And some of these pushes that he's doing where they're like, we're not going to give federal funding unless
Yeah.
the medical school offers a nutrition class. Now, my question is the nutrition class going to be sponsored by Pfizer? But I digress. We'll get back into
Sure.
the question you asked me, which is, what can we do? And the reality is inherent to the statement, we're not going to support medical schools unless they teach nutrition, should tell you they don't teach nutrition. And if we look at chronic health issues, and 70% of what's going on in healthcare is chronic health issues, it's because people do it to themselves. They don't live a lifestyle, they live a death style.
Yeah.
And if we really get, congruent with the definition of doctor, which is teacher, then everybody listening can choose to teach however they want. But there's a myriad of opportunities to teach nutrition, teach exercise. And I come from a world of adjustment centric. I
Yeah.
want to teach that the adjustment's the most valuable tool we have. And there's other things we can do, but understand that's what differentiates it. That's what sets us apart. And inherent to what he's sharing in the Maha movement is the weaknesses in the traditional medical model, oftentimes funded by and fueled by big pharma. And what people want are natural health solutions, which is pretty much every chiropractor. So you pick your topic, you pick your passion, share it, and there's already momentum, there's already wind in our sails because of a lot of those conversations. That I think it's a really exciting time to be a chiropractor. I've been in the state of California 27 years practicing, and I've never seen anything like this. So I'm excited to be here, and that's also why I decided to jump in and speak at the CCA event at the end of August. Is there's excitement in the air, there's fun things to talk about, and I have a really bad habit when I speak live of not doing it in a calm way. So I'll be excited to share it with a little bit of emphasis and passion, because this is a super exciting time to be a chiropractor. And evidence of that is my oldest child, my daughter, decided she wants to be a chiropractor, and I've always operated with the premise that I want to leave the profession better than I found it. And I'm glad in my 20 years of teaching I did it that way, because now she's going to be entering the ranks. And I would tell her the same thing, everybody on this call. This is the best time to be a chiropractor. We need to pull together and start to work together, because the 12,000 or whatever we have in the state, 11,000 chiropractors, if we got behind a synonymous message and kind of move the marker, I think we could gain some ground in healthcare, and we'd have less people addicted to opioids and oxy and some of the natural solutions we offer obviously are better than the synthetic and the pharmaceutical. And I would say that in any audience. I would say that to medical doctors. I would say that to surgeons. It's a fact. And we've got to come with that boldness and that confidence, because in the mind of the consumer, in the mind of your patients, confidence equals competence.
Mm.
And we've got to be more confident now than ever to win that cultural authority, while the medical cartels are kind of decreasing their authority. And a lot of people are questioning things that were pushed down us the last 4 or 5 years. All of a sudden, there's some real questions. And what is the science? How do you define the science? Because we were just told follow the science, and all of a sudden we're finding out, hey, the science wasn't what it was cracked up to be. Some of it was cooked up in the Pfizer lab. Some of it was pushed out there by Johnson and Johnson, and this blind trust. It isn't there anymore. And I think that's really good for chiropractic, because now we're being forced to say, show us your work, kind of like a math problem. Show your work. How did you get to this conclusion as a pharmaceutical company? And the reality is, more people should have gone to a chiropractor. They should consider sending people to a chiropractor. I don't know if they ever will, to the numbers that it requires, but we've got an opportunity to define it for ourselves, and that's why I'm excited.
Well, something you just touched on there really resonated with me, because I always talk to people about the confidence and certainty, right? And Jimmy Parker talked about this: the product, the service, and the idea, right? And so, share with our listeners or some of our new graduates, because I really try to help new graduates, new practitioners to get off the ground, right, and be successful. How do you create more confidence and certainty when you're first in practice? And do you have some thoughts or ideas for people that are joining us today on that?
Yeah, look, this might sound like a selfish plug, but it's a free podcast I do with James Chestnut. It's called the Chiro Factor. Chiropractor is a podcast. We just do it once a month, but it's 90 minutes of James Chestnut and I, who I think anybody who knows of James or has learned from James, he's one of the smartest guys in the profession. And it's all
Yep.
about adjustment centric, evidence based. It's a free podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. So there's nothing to sell. There's no promotion here. It's just good for the profession. And honestly, the younger docs, the new grads, it's great for their confidence because we cite the studies, we share the information. It's all free. And honestly, when you start entering these conversations and speaking at this higher level, it gets easier to teach people in your practice. It gets easier to attract new patients. It gets easier to convert people out of report of findings because it's the right answer. And when your confidence is high, it takes away the feeling that you're pushing or you're selling. It just creates some ease and space. So that's like a to-do is go listen to the Chiropractor. And honestly, James is one of those rare gems where he understands the science, the research. He can deconstruct some of the conclusions that have been drawn from medical studies and say, actually, here's how the study was designed. Here's what they asked. The question was, do people feel better in 5 or 6 visits? And the answer is yes. But the question is this optimal? Is 5 or 6 visits the best? That wasn't the question. The question was, do they feel better in 5 or 6? Yeah, well, they do. But the conclusion they drew was chiropractors should only see patients. And so it's just really healthy for, I think, students as well as new grads to really get the why behind the what and start to understand that chiropractic is really positioned to be leaders in healthcare. And at a time, again, unlike anything I've seen in my 27 years. And so for students to gain that confidence and to gain that, start to feel better about the product we offer, however you choose to adjust, and really stand by the recommendations you give. And I'll give you a quick example. One of the studies that James and I talk about is the HAAS study, HAAS.
Yeah.
And that 50% of the patients will feel 50% better at 12 visits. And so the conclusion would be anything less than 12 visits for most spinal complaints that we're talking about, that's going to be the minimum. And yet this concept that, well, if they're not better in 5 or 6 visits, send them out or refer, all of a sudden we start to get some clarity. Should I do 5 or 6? Should I say come in only when it hurts? Or should I give the patient the best opportunity to get better for the least amount of money? Well, then that would require a 12-visit plan. Again, in particular for the topics he and I were talking about with spinal issues. And then all of a sudden you got a baseline to work with and they feel good saying, hey, this is going to take time. And for the listeners that are, more in the salutogenic vitalistic model, that honors principle number 6, which is healing takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And why does healing take time? Because the body's got to adapt to 2 forces that BJ Palmer used to talk about, that of too much and that of too little. And said differently, principle number 17 talks about your body's adapting to internal forces and external forces. And so the environment internally and the environment externally is what your body's always adapting to. So the conversations I like to hold are inclusive. It's for the mechanists, it's for the vitalists, it's for chiropractors. And if we understand the science validates the philosophy and the philosophy reinforces the science, then we're having an and conversation. It's not science or philosophy. And there's been a lot of rhetoric around that's kind of divided our profession over the years.
Amen.
And I want to bring it together. And that's why I'm excited again to be speaking at the CCA state convention in August. Is it's an and conversation. You can have a successful practice and have a good quality of life at home. You can be science-based and philosophically sound. You can provide mechanistic care for people in pain and offer them wellness care in a salutogenic, vitalistic model beyond the initial care and let them choose. And so to me, it's about bringing some sisters and some brothers together and realizing under the banner of chiropractic, we offer a really unique product. We are in high demand. And maybe from pharmaceutical marketing, we've been suppressed a bit. But if you do want to look at the science of why we should see people longer, You don't have to look any further than some of the opioid statistics. And I want to applaud and salute the CCA for pushing some of this out, which is 59% of opioids were written for neck and back pain.
Yeah.
And had the GP been educated by a chiropractor, not the pharmaceutical rep, we might have seen more people through COVID. We might have helped, more patients out of really what's ripped apart families in this opioid epidemic. But they have stats and research and facts that shows that actually the pharmaceutical companies knew that it was killing people. They knew that it was highly addictive, and they just chose profits over people. And this is played out in a court of law. So these are facts. This has been a $1 billion conviction. They're choosing profits over people. And we're so different in chiropractic. A lot of chiropractors give away their care, which I'm not advocating for, but
Sure.
we're such, we care so much that we could have been the answer to the opioid problem. When majority of opioids are for neck and back pain, then just send them to a chiropractor, even for mechanistic reasons. We can educate them up the ladder in a vitalistic way, but there's a need for us now more than ever. And unfortunately, there's over 300 Americans who die per day from opioids still, even though there's restrictions and regulations and they've limited because so many people are addicted. And the CCA was pushing out this information.
We're
Harvard
not
said,
letting that die, man. We're right there at the state, still talking about that stuff. So we're not letting that conversation fall by the wayside. So, but I am so glad that you brought up the chiropractor because I love what you and James are doing on there. I might have to ask you to connect me with him one of these days, because I definitely, when you talk about confidence and certainty and standing up for chiropractic, that's what resonates with me, and that's the type of organization I'm trying to create here. But I wanted you to expand upon something. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but share with the listeners, what's the conversation behind getting on regular care? Because you talked about, okay, here's why it's good for this period of time, right? But I agree with you. Lifestyle care, utilizing chiropractic as part of your health care, just part of your wellness is the key, right? And that's the conversation you want to keep having. So how does that conversation take place? Because I want people to have something to go into the office tomorrow with and be like, I'm going to start doing what he said or saying what he said, because that's the key.
I love the invitation. I mean, I teach this in a 2-day workshop. It's called the Elements of Closing. And I teach docs how to get value on the day one and then how to deliver a report of findings. Something they can do right away. And this is gold. And again, I thank you for being a good interviewer because you give me the invite to give procedures. And I love to do that. I want to leave the listeners better. I travel a bunch and I teach a bunch. And it's not because it's easy. It's because I think it's the right way for people to make a shift and to be better chiropractors.
Yeah.
And in doing so, one of the things you can do in the day one process is honestly finding out what is their number one complaint, like what is their number one problem. And we were all taught in school you got to listen to all the complaints, but I'd suggest to the listeners find their number one. And just because they come in with a chief complaint, don't accept that at face value. This is big. Because you and I know, Phil, most people think that what they think we do is neck and back pain only. And we do a great job with neck and back pain, but they think that's only what we do. And they don't know that we do headaches. And sometimes they don't know that we do migraines. And they don't know that you can handle sciatica. And I had a patient the other day said he had sciatica. And I said, which leg, left or right? And the guy was like, well, isn't it only in the right leg? Because that's the one that hurts. Because that's where he had pain. He didn't know he had a sciatic nerve on the left side. I mean, this I'm in real practice. This is the stuff we get, right? I'm like, oh, you don't want to make them wrong, but find out what their number one complaint is, and don't limit yourself to neck and back pain. Offer care for things you help, but realize there's a disconnect from what we know we can do and what the patients know. So that's big on the day one, the consult, as you gather information, and then something they can use in a report of findings. And it's super easy, but holy smokes, is it profound. I like to start my report of findings with, you have issues we can help you with, or some variety of however you want to say it.
Okay.
You have pain that we can help you with. You have symptoms we can relieve, whatever the listener chooses to say. However, it's going to take some time. Can I tell you what it's going to take? And I just want to remind you, you can say no to my recommendations. But can I give you my recommendations? Number one, if I get permission, that's huge. On a subconscious level, they're thinking, okay, I asked for this. And number two, when I say you can say no, you and I know, buddy, they could always say no.
Sure.
Right? They didn't need that. But what that's called is a return of autonomy. And when I'm reminding them, you're in control, you're autonomous here. I'm just here I'm your helper. You asked for help. I'm the helper. but you can say no, then it decreases something that's really important called reactance. And
Mm.
reactance is the pushback to a recommendation. We have to be vulnerable. We have to open ourselves up to, someone else's expertise. And for a lot of people, that's not easy. And some chiropractors don't get that.
I
So what
love
they do is they lean in and they push harder, and that's called a hard sell.
that. Mm-hmm.
And so if you start your report of findings with, I've found what, I got your x-rays here, I got your exam findings. This is what I'm going to go through up here on the view box. But before we do that, just remind you, you can say no. Is that cool? Okay. Then with your permission, I'd like to show you what I found. And when they say you have my permission, two things: we decrease reaction, we have permission to proceed. It changes all the rest of however people choose to put people on care plans. So a couple procedures on the day one, find out their top priority. They'll give you maximum attention
Okay.
for their top priority symptom, and don't limit it to neck and back pain. For whatever care you provide, offer those things only. Be ethical, be honest. And then on the report of findings, return autonomy. Tell them they can say no, which they could always say no, and then just get some permission. Is it cool if I go through this now and tell you you're going to need these visits? And again, I would reference the Haas study and say minimum of 12 for most spinal complaints.
Yeah.
But those are things people can do right away if that's helpful.
Reactance, man. I'm going to look that word up. It's my new word for the day, because I just was talking to a guy today. We're both running like to get on the broadcast, because I told the guy, you could do whatever you want to do, man, but if you want to get the help that I'm trying to provide you, you need to be here tomorrow,
Yeah.
kind of thing. You need to see me. I don't need to see you, kind of thing. But
That's it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's great tip for everybody, because I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say at the fall conference. If you are a new practitioner, because one of the things I just heard you say, Dr. Glowaki, is that you got to be in the room, right? There's no replacement for being in the room. And if you are in practice, I know there's a lot of people struggling out there to make a living, to be successful, to build their practice, to start their practice. This is the type of person that you want to be around. This is the kind of information that you want to be hearing, because I think that all the things that you're saying are spot on, and I think that we have a lot to learn from you at the fall conference. So I'm super excited to have you there. I wanted everybody to check out the QR code that we have up on the screen for him. If you want to connect with him more through the Level Up program. Ron is telling me I have to ask you, how did you get the name The New Patient Maven? So if I don't ask you, he's going to be hammering me about that. So
yep. So I'm in practice in Orange County. I'm in
Okay.
Southern California, so I share a lot with the audience that will be with us at Disneyland. And
Okay.
being in practice and going through the lockdowns and having to separate the tables by 6 feet and wear masks and all this stuff that
Sure.
nobody liked to do. But even in those times, I just said, look, this isn't the hill I want to die on. I'm not going to lose my license because I refuse to wear a mask or whatever the thing was. And so you put the mask on your ear, and then they yelled at us, and so we put it over my chin and whatever. It was just like, I need to stay open so I can be an influence. And we
Sure.
did videos through COVID, social media, that I would be talking to my audience, my patients, in a video, and I'd have my cleaning lady behind me cleaning my tables because I wanted to show them that we were cleaning the tables and
Oh, that's
sanitary.
cool.
As the science comes out, I knew COVID wasn't being passed on the table, but it's not about me. And I think for your audience, the people looking to grow their practice, it's always about your audience and your listeners. So that's one example of what we did social media. But I've been in practice for 27 years here in Orange County, Seal Beach. And for 21, 22 years now, I've been teaching all over the world to chiropractors. And when I first started teaching was how to do health talks. And I did some work with the CCA back then, 20 plus years ago. And so the moniker, the nickname New Patient Maven, and Maven is an expert. And so I was teaching docs how to do corporate talks at a time nobody really was doing that, to my knowledge. And the most important part, of course, is how to close the talk to get new patients in, because that's what moves the needle, and feel good about that, because we're not in
Yeah.
entertainment. A lot of docs do talks and they provide information and they entertain, but they don't ever give them an offer to come in. And
Yeah.
my feeling is every talk should be an opportunity for new patients. And so
Sure.
for people listening, now that COVID's over and a lot of mandates are in place for people to go back to the office, back to work, this is a really good time to be doing corporate talks again. We've been killing it. We signed up 100 new patients in the month of May just from our corporate talks.
Man.
And then June, July, and August, I pretty much travel with my family. I teach a little bit. I'm going to lacrosse tournaments. So it's a good family balance. I have 2 associates in my practice. I filled it up in May. And then for the next 90 days, I can kind of have a summer holiday and travel around. And I think one of the big things is we don't give business cards at talks, we book appointments. So if people are looking for things to do, a business card is a procrastination card.
Yeah.
If you want to set a day and a time to come in, everybody knows the closer to the time of your talk, the better the new patients. But if you're scheduling 3 months out, they're not super serious. And so, number one, talks are back. Number two, don't bring business cards, provide a close for action. It's not awareness, it's action. And then, yeah, to Ron's point, the reason they call me the Maven was we made it a mechanic, like you would any procedure in your practice. Like, here's how we do new patients, and here's how we check and adjust spines. We made team mechanics for doing corporate talks so people can get new patients every time. And I would say for inside the talk, anybody listening that wants help doing the talks, we do something we call candor. What candor is, throughout my presentation, I offer something I'm not good at. And it's a lost art. It's called being humble, right? So I humble myself and I say, listen, if you have this going on, I'm not good at that. But if I just hit pause right there and I ask the listeners what you think of, if you are listening and you're near a keyboard, do me a favor. If I say I'm not good at, whatever this symptom is, what does that make you think of me as a listener? If you wouldn't mind, throw it in the group chat. Just type down below what it is that you think of me. If I'm your presenter and I say I'm not good at, fibromyalgia or plantar fasciitis, what do you think of me? And I want to hear what the people on this call are going to say, because typically it's the same thing. And in a world of superlatives on social media where everyone's edited and perfect, we don't offer any vulnerability. We don't offer any
Yeah.
authenticity. And if you do that with candor and you humble yourself, then whatever you say next holds authority, means you're authentic, and it's real. It's honest. And if you can do that in a talk, they're set up to make appointments at the end. If you use candor, humble yourself, and then talk about what you're good at, you'll have new patients coming in the door, provided you don't bring business cards, because business cards are procrastination cards and people will put it off and put it off. If you say we don't have cards, but we do have an opportunity to make an appointment, well, then you're going to get new patients, not leads. And that's a whole different story.
Man, that was incredible, dude. Like, I'm looking so much forward to having you there. If you don't join us, or if you don't get a chance to join us, make sure you connect with Dr. Glowaki via his Level Up program. If you do get a chance to join us at Disneyland, he's going to be doing actually a special presentation for us on Saturday night after the conference is over. I really appreciate you doing that. So hopefully you can stick around as we try to give away some money and have a little fun. And maybe we'll have a few more questions for you. We'll see what people put in the chat. But thanks so much for being on with us. Really appreciate it. And can't wait to. I saw you've been playing a lot of golf with your family lately and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it's cool. My younger daughter, I've got 2 boys and 2 girls, and my younger daughter is home from college and she just started playing. And look, to have adult kids asked to spend time with you, there's nothing better. So I would swim in shark infested waters if I got to do it safely with my kids, but
sure.
to me, it's just like, we're just having fun, and California is such a great place to live. Life is good. And I'm looking at some of the comments here coming in: honest, authentic, real. Those are the correct answers, right?
Yeah.
The idea is, if you use candor, you sound authentic, you look real, you're being on, and then whatever comes next has more pull. So I'm excited to share my regular session, and then I've got a bonus session not for CE. I think it's Saturday night, and that's where I'm going to talk about business and growth and new patients and stuff you can't do and get CE.
Right.
So number one, come to the convention, and number two, stick around for more than CE. If you want to grow your practice, I have no problem sharing what works. If you can't tell, I could do this for the next 4 hours unscripted. I love it. And I love that you
we had more time.
Yeah, buddy, but I appreciate you put the spotlight on other people, and your concern and the messages I got leading up to this were, we want to help chiropractors out. So kudos to you for doing this the right way and for helping out other docs. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, guys, let's try to give away some money. Let's bring up the wheel and spin. We have 3 names today. Remember, you got to be on the broadcast. You got to have your name drawn from the randomizer, and you have to respond in the chat within 30 seconds. So hopefully Shasta's got the wheel. Okay, here we go. Let's do name number 1. You are our first winner. Let's see if Sherry's with us. You got 30 seconds. I remember one of the things you said, I don't know how many years. I've been in practice almost 20 years, but you called police officers, firefighters, industrial athletes. And
Yep.
that's something that I swear I go into legislative arenas, or even when I'm working with the firefighters union and things of that nature, and I use that term, and it immediately resonates with them, man. It changes the whole conversation. So I'm grateful that you taught me that word or that concept, 20 odd years ago. So
Yeah, and for your listeners, look, we do talks to teachers. We call them educational athletes.
there you go.
Because the point is, it's not just about pain. Chiropractic is for three things in my mind: pain, prevention, and performance. And so if you can position it, you can attract performance new patients, not just people in pain. Look, we're going to have some fun at Disneyland. I'm excited for the convention. It's going to be super good, and definitely bring something to take notes. I'm not there to fill up the time with fluff. We'll give you things that will help you in your practice.
Let's go. All right. It doesn't look like Sherry's here. I always try to wait a few more seconds just because the chat's on a little bit of a delay. But let's do name number 2 and see if Chase Unruh. I think I know Chase. I think Chase was one of my students. I'm still an adjunct professor at Life West. Although I only got one class this quarter, it's starting to dwindle down as I get some of these other responsibilities going. But I always try to take care of my students from Life West, and super excited about their event coming up too, the Wave, in about 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll start running into each other in different events, and maybe we can even get some golf in one of these days. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll be at the Wave as well. I'm excited for that. They've done some
Oh,
great things and pumping out some awesome chiropractors in our state.
yeah. Always grateful to Dr. Kevorkian for all the things that he's doing and the ways that we're collaborating and that kind of thing. So excited about that opportunity coming up. We're going to have a booth there and some awards presentations and things of that nature too. So looking forward to. I'll make sure we connect or try to say hi.
I'll swing by the booth for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, it doesn't look like Chase is here. I haven't seen him in the chat. So let's do name number 3. This is where everybody gets excited. Ooh, Dr. Mark Gottlieb. I think you know Mark, right? That's
Yeah, I know Mark really well. He's a good dude.
yeah, he's an oldie but a goodie, man. Mark's done a lot of good in California for a long time. One of my classmates went to work for him down in San Diego. He's got a bunch of associates and a bunch of offices I know over the years. So you'll have to reach out to him. Tell me he won $300, but he wasn't here to collect it. So, but
I'm just laughing at the fact you called him an oldie but a goodie. He's younger than me. Son of a never cracker.
Hey,
son of a
I'm an
never
oldie
cracker.
I'm feeling like I'm an oldie but a goodie. Trust me, I've been around. I've had the opportunity to be around. I'm so grateful. A lot of oldie but a goodies, but
Yep.
I say it lovingly for sure.
Right on.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like Dr. Gottlieb's here to collect his money, but thank you guys so much for being with us on the broadcast. Thank you, Dr. Glowaki, for doing all that you do for the profession, for our association. Super excited to have you at the fall conference coming up in about 6 weeks. So make sure you guys get locked in for that, and we'll see you guys